From the Oklahoma newsroom, this is an OSU update. I'm Jenny Carlson here with John Helsley. John, obviously the big news last week coming out of the Cowboys program, they've hired a new coach. Brad Underwood comes in to take over the reins, and you had a chance, obviously, talk to him, but you've talked to a lot of past players of his and kind of started to get a sense of what kind of basketball we think we're going to see. Obviously, you never know, but what are sort of some of those fingerprints that you feel like we'll see on a Brad Underwood team?
I think the thing you really get right out of the gate with a lot of his former players at Stephen F. Austin, Jenny, is toughness, work. These guys played hard. If you got a chance to watch them in the NCAA tournament, played hard on both ends, really played with a lot of passion. They played with a good basketball IQ. They seemed to always be in the right place or covering for other guys on defensive end or whatever it might have been. But the one thing that really stood out, I think, was just the toughness, and I think that's a real indicator of your coach.
Yeah, and you characterized it, and I think several of the players did too, selfless basketball, sort of that. And this was something in the introductory press conference on Wednesday. We heard a lot sort of that everyday man scenario. Everybody's accountable. You had a chance to talk to Thomas Walkup, the bearded one that became sort of the NCAA tournament sensation that first week, which may sort of be as much a symbol of that as anybody. What did you take away from that conversation in specific?
You mentioned selfless, and that was a word that Thomas Walkup used as well. This is a team that was number 2 in the country in assists, and without a real point guard that was a distributor. So Underwood really relies on a lot of guys on his team to be able to pass the ball. They had several guys that averaged a decent number of assists. Walkup was the leader at 4 or 5, and he's not a point guard. So I think that's going to be it. And Walkup talked too about the toughness that the teams have. They talked about a kind of a fellowship, and throughout the different players that I talked to, 2 or 3 different guys, they all kind of talked about that, is that this was a coach that they really liked and they really wanted to go to battle for.
Well, and we saw some pictures in the aftermath of Underwood deciding to come to OSU from Walkup, just, sort of that camaraderie. And Underwood even talked about that after his press conference, that saying goodbye to those guys and guys like Thomas Walkup is hard a thing as he's ever had to do. That speaks volumes.
It does speak volumes. And I heard that thread talking to these guys. A lot of them wanted to almost reach out to the OSU players and say, hey, get ready. You're going to love this guy. If you embrace him, good things are going to happen. They really, you could tell they genuinely were going to miss him. And I think that's a good indicator and a testament to maybe who he is, not only as a basketball coach, but who he may be, as a person to these guys.
All right. Well, I'm sure we'll start to hear about assistant coaches, recruiting, that sort of thing in the coming weeks. Be sure to stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com and every day in the Oklahoman.